Hola, welcome back to the channel. Now Bitcoin actually did have a good drop today, but honestly I do see it dropping down to around 51,500, maybe 250, but that's really going to come down to when the Nas is going to drop. This will drop down to around 49,000. Let's get into it. Now, before we start the video, I do have a Discord. It is in the link of the description or in the comments of the video. Now, I do post my crypto charts and crypto plays. If you want to come in, I post hourly, guys, on these. So if you need help, just come in. I do one-on-one sessions if you are new to trading, and I'm always looking for mods. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Now we did have Bitcoin actually did break support, but it came back into the channel. Now this is getting weaker and weaker. This will drop to around 51,232. That's going to hurt your smaller cap coins. Now if actually this week, if we actually do drop to around 420 in the triple Qs, which I have on the boards. So if we actually do drop here in the triple Qs around 415, 420, this will send Bitcoin down to the lower levels, probably down to support. I don't think it's going to break support, but I mean, if it does, it does. But around 49,536. Now in MAR, we are actually down 1% today, even though the market is closed. But if we do break down around 26 and 60 cents, I would definitely set an alert for maybe 25.61. If that happens, then we will come down here, fill in these gaps into the lower levels. And on Coinbase, if we actually do go down to around maybe 48, 49,000 on Bitcoin, you will see Coinbase actually drop pretty well. Now, if it does only follow Bitcoin, you will see this drop down to around 172. But honestly, if this actually does give out more in percentage just to, fill in these gaps, I wouldn't be surprised this comes down to around 145. Now, overlapping this with Bitcoin, you can actually see the path. This actually is at resistance around 29.37. Now, we do have a support of around 27.78 on this coin. Now, honestly, if Bitcoin does go down to support, you will see 2,700, maybe 2,800 on this. But really, it's going to come down to when Bitcoin is actually going to crack. Now, it's going to follow the indexes, guys. It's not hard to understand this. So just be very careful at these highs, because if Bitcoin actually does take a nose dive, you will see this go down to around 2,600, maybe 2,500. Now in this big bad boy, we are at resistance also around 114. We actually did get a rejection. We are consolidating right here. But if you actually see Bitcoin is going to take a nosedive soon. Not very hard, probably. Now we are probably going to consolidate on Bitcoin, but 45,000 won't be out of the picture. But honestly, if this does break around 109, you will go down to the lower levels of 103. Dogecoin actually did have a nice pump today. We are past resistance. This is probably going to turn into a false breakout, so never take gains too soon. Guys, just be very careful, because if Bitcoin does take a nosedive, you will see this take a nosedive with it. Now, if you actually overlap it, you can kind of see that Bitcoin is taking a little bit of a lower high. So actually, the volume probably pumped off of this one. So just be very careful if you are at these highs trying to buy it. Do not get trapped, because if you get trapped at this level, if we do break around 0.085, you will go down to the levels of around 0.080. So just be very careful. But you do have a lot of strong support around 0.08019. So just be very careful. If we do break that level, be very careful, because that could give out very, very fast. Now on this one, we actually are consolidating at resistance also. Now, if we do reject here, you do have a lot of support around 90, 74. But honestly, you're going to need Bitcoin to take a nosedive also. So if you actually do get, like say around 43,000 on Bitcoin, you will see this go down to around 90, 74 on Riot. So just be very careful with this too, because there's really not that much room on this one on the dollar amount. If you do actually take a nosedive around 47,000, you will see this go down to around $14 flat. But the thing is, these crypto mining companies, they are taking lower, a small loss every day due to the pump right here. We do have a lot of gaps down here. So if these actually start to dive first before Bitcoin, then when Bitcoin actually gives out, you will see these go down to the lower levels. So actually, I wouldn't be surprised. This actually tags around $12. Now on this one, it's really consolidating. We actually did get a little pump, but just be very careful. If you do break around 69.5, your next support is going to be around 65 and around 60 cents. But you're really going to need Bitcoin to go down in, probably 40,000 to go down to that level. Now on Bitcoin Cash, let's actually pull up the chart. We actually did get a rejection off a resistance earlier this week. Now we are consolidating, making lower highs. So if this actually does, if Bitcoin does go around 40,000, this will go down to around 230. So just be very careful at these highs, guys, because if these highs break, guys, don't get trapped at these highs. I mean, we do get a lot of good jumps in these, to get a chance to get out if you do get trapped at these tops. But just be very careful, guys. There's not a wrong time to take gains on these. Now on Stellar, we are at resistance. We are doing a false breakout, but look how small this channel is. So just be very careful. It is very easy to actually break this channel. If we do break this channel, maybe at like 1139, then you will go down to the lower levels. But around 40,000 Bitcoin, you are looking at around 1088 on this one. We are actually getting a false breakout on AAVE, and we actually, if this is a very, very small channel also, if this does get a break back into this channel right here, it's going to get jammed and it's going to get pushed. Now if Bitcoin dives, this one is going to dive also. But if you look at around 40,000, you're on Bitcoin, you're probably going to get around an 83, 84 on this one. Now on this one, we also really aren't breaking into new highs. It's really consolidating sideways. Now Bitcoin actually did have a drop earlier today, so I wouldn't be surprised if this one has a drop very soon. If you do break around 1.05, then you will go down to lower levels. But to go down here, you're really going to need Bitcoin to go around 40,000. So just be very careful because this is at 1.08. So if you actually go all in, and this goes down to say $1, that's going to be a very big loss. So just be very careful if you are trading this, because on these smaller amount of coins, like in the volume wise or like the dollar amount, it's a very critical, spot. Like if these go down 10 cents, that's a lot, guys. So just be very careful buying at these highs. Now on Compound, we actually did get a drop off of Bitcoin earlier today. Or well, actually, I think it was last night, but Bitcoin actually did have another drop today. If you do break around 59.5, I would definitely set alert for maybe like 58.75. If that does happen, then that can free fall more into like this area. So just be very careful. If you do get a 45 Bitcoin or 45,000, you will go down to around 56. XRP did get a nice drop, but we did bounce when Bitcoin did. Now, Bitcoin did have a sell-off, but it didn't really affect this one. Now, Bitcoin, if it does break this smaller channel, guys, so like this channel right here, this is what I'm talking about. Now, if this channel breaks in Bitcoin, this is going to drop to around 49,000, and that will send these smaller coins into a more of a drop mode. So just be very careful. If it does go down to around 48,000, you will see 0.53 on this. Now, if it does break around, say, 0.53, then you're gonna probably start filling these gaps. Now, there is a lot of support around here. So if you do drop, I would definitely look around 0.52 for like a bounce. Now on SEI, we are actually coming up to support. If that does break, you do have a next support around 0.89. But if Bitcoin does drop to around 48,000, this channel will break. So be very careful, guys, because you're trading at highs. This rally from all these smaller coins was Bitcoin pumping. And when Bitcoin pumped, it's because the index is pumped. So just be very careful, guys, because if we do take a drop in the triple Qs this coming week, guys, these are going to take a dive. On this one, we actually did come up and start breaking out of this channel, so just be very careful. This was due to probably a lot of buying pressure. Now, if we do get below around 60, your next support's going to be around 0.56, and that's around a $50,000 Bitcoin. So just be very careful. If we do drop around 47,000 in Bitcoin, this will drop down to around 0.53. On Link, we actually are at support, so be very careful, guys. Just remember, guys, this rally right here will come to an end if Bitcoin starts to drop. So if we actually do drop to around 48,000, you will look at 18 around this. And if you are, guys, if you are buying at these highs, be very, very careful, because if the indexes do drop this coming week, which I do have on my charts, like I do have around dropping around to around 420, 415 this coming week in the triple Qs, that will send these indexes lower to around, like on the Nas, we will go down to around 17,000. And if that happens, Bitcoin will take a dive and these smaller cap coins will take a dive. But thanks, guys. I hope you guys sub to the channel, and I hope you guys help me out. I'm going to make this channel more into a crypto channel. So if you can, leave a like on the video. Thanks, guys.